The next lesson is how to draw and shade the form of a cylinder. So what we're going to do is first take a 2H pencil, because an H pencil leaves a very light mark. We don't want our lines to be as visible as our shading at this point in our unit. So let's make a really high horizon line, about 1 or 2 inches. This is about 2 inches down from the top of this paper. And we're going to go down to toward the bottom of this paper, and I want you to go up about 4 inches up from the bottom. And just using a nice loose swinging motion, I'm going to draw a series of very, very light ovals. And I'm going to create a nice oval that's not too skinny, because we really want to emphasize the roundness of the walls of this cylinder. So just keep the sketch nice and loose. I can't draw a perfect oval myself in one try. So I'm going to just pick the lines and darken the lines which I feel like are the ones that I want to keep. The other repetitive lines that I am not going to make part of this oval to create the, that form the base of the cylinder, I'm going to erase them with my eraser. I'm using this Faber-Castell art eraser that's dust-free, and while it's not completely dust-free, it does make less dust than your typical white rubber or plastic, latex eraser. I want to make the oval kind of round, and when you see a circle, we know that the bottom of a cylinder is a circle, but a circle seen, and I tell this to all my students, a circle seen from any other angle than straight on is going to be some form of an oval. It could be, this kind of looks like a kind of chubby, like a little rounder rice shape oval. This back line is really not as important. At the end, we are going to erase it because it's not going to be visible. But just get a nice little oval that looks symmetrical. Draw a little dot at the midpoint. So this is kind of the, right here, I'm going to put a little dotted line in the middle of this little rice shape or oval. And the middle of that line is approximately here. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to push that midpoint a little bit further back to about here. Make that an oval too. That represents the midpoint of the circle that we're seeing from an angle. Since this edge of the oval is closer to us, the viewer, and this back edge is further away, this distance right here in front of the midpoint is going to look a little longer than this distance back here. So don't push the midpoint too far back, but do push it back a little bit. So it's not really in the middle of this line, it's a little bit further up. Because we're looking at this oval from an angle, in perspective. Now what we're going to do is draw a line straight up, and somewhere along that line we're going to determine the height of our cylinder. So keep this line right here parallel to the vertical edge of your paper. Keep it pretty straight. Keep the line below the horizon line, because the horizon line equals eye level. So that's exactly where our eyes are at when we're looking straight out. Let's say we're tall, we see the horizon line there. So anything underneath, we're going to see the top of. and we do want to draw the top of this cylinder. And the top of the cylinder is going to be another oval. That's exactly like this oval. But before we draw that, let's draw some guidelines here. Draw a little point at the very left and right side of the oval. And then draw another 2 parallel vertical lines straight up from those points right there. Okay, so somewhere in between these 2 lines, you are going to draw another oval. So I'm going to go a little bit more below, further below the horizon line. I don't want it too close to the horizon line. And I'm going to draw an oval similar to the one that I have down here. Okay, just kind of swing your arm around from the elbow. I'm standing up. You could stand up if you wish. It's a little easier to see what's going on. Make sure this front edge is nice and round, nice and rounded, and the oval is not too skinny. So you're implying that this is a cylinder or a can shape as seen from an angle. If you make this oval too skinny, then you might be implying that this is actually not a round object, that it might actually be kind of a 3-dimensional extruded oval shape, that it's actually flat on the back and front, and we don't want people to mistake it for that. So we would just want to give this the impression of being nice and round. Okay. All right, so now we've drawn our oval at the top. I'm going to erase the lines that I don't want. Erase the back of this oval at the bottom. Erase this little line that comes out from the midpoint. We're going to erase the midpoint. All those things were used to help us draw basically the outline of the cylinder. Okay. Erase any stray lines that are not going to be a part of the finished cylinder. Okay, cylinder is C-Y-L-I-N-D-E-R, and this is your horizon line. And horizon line is the same as eye level. And the eye level for every person is individual, is different. Okay, use the drafting brush. And now we're going to determine the direction of our light source. So let's say the light source is coming from the upper right. So the rays of our sun are coming like this, at this angle. So the top of our oval, the top of our cylinder is going to be the lightest surface. And then the side is going to be darker. The right side is going to have more light than the left side. And while we're thinking about the sun and the direction of the light, let's determine what our shadow is going to look like. So the shadow falls on the opposite side of the light source. So if the sun's rays are coming from the upper right, the shadow is going to go toward the lower left. So let's go to where those 2 points were before, and we are going to draw 2 shadows going toward the lower left. Now we're not going to start drawing our shadow here, or our shadow is going to come out from the cylinder right here, which would look weird. We want to start right here, where at the very high point of that curve where it kind of bumps out. And the 2 lines for the shadows that form the sides of the cylinder shadows can actually start coming apart a little further as it comes towards you. Why? Because spaces, objects, the sizes of things, distances, they all get bigger as they come towards you.